thought that we would do a type of opinion segment where you guys give us topics to discuss, and we just go at it, and we're not going to edit anything. So you're going to see everything from the time we turn the camera on until we turn it off, aside from inserting our little intro clip.
Yep. We didn't get as many topics as we thought because the 95% of them were breastfeeding and bottle feeding, so we're definitely going to talk about that and a few other things that some other people have asked, which were not as requested.
Yeah.
So, are we just going to go now?
Yeah.
We're just going to... So, I personally feel, I think Carissa and I are on the very same page with this. Fed is best. If your baby wants the boob, give it the boob. If your baby wants the bottle, give it the bottle. I mean, try breastfeeding, but
you have to give it a shot. I don't like when girls are like, oh, I'm pregnant, blah blah blah. I'm gonna formula feed. Okay, I get it, but you need to try.
Yeah.
Like when I was pregnant with Maya, like I was gonna breastfeed, and I breastfed her for a couple of days, and I was so sick after having her that I just physically could not do it, and I formula fed. And she's healthy, and she's smart, and she's growing like a weed.
Yeah.
With Keegan, I breastfed him for 2 months, and then I had to go on an antibiotic, and I wasn't, like, you know, he couldn't have that, so I switched to formula, and he's fine. He's a big boy, but he's fine.
Yeah.
You should try. The only time I understand when you just, like, know I'm going to formula feed is if you've been through something. Like me, when I was younger, something physical was done to me inappropriately, and that makes it difficult for like certain parts of my body, make me uncomfortable and stuff like that. So when I was pregnant with Keegan, I really didn't want to breastfeed Keegan. It just made me feel uncomfortable thinking about breastfeeding him, and like I tried. So
And you tried for a long time.
Yeah.
2 months is a long time, and I honestly think, like, my personal opinion is, even if you don't do skin to skin, like mouth to breast kind of deal, you should pump for the beginning, because colostrum is so important to babies, and you don't need to feel pressure to make sure that you don't have to think, I'm not going to have a bond with my baby because I'm not, bringing him to breast. That's not, they make you feel like that sometimes in a hospital or your friends or family or whatever, but that's not the case. Like Sophia and I, it almost separated us when we were breastfeeding because I couldn't get it right, and I just felt like such a shitty mother because I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it the right way for her or fast enough, or I wasn't fluent enough holding a baby that I could, maneuver her to be like, oh yeah, here it is, like.
yeah.
So it kind of put a divider between us, and I feel like if that's the case with you, or even if you're just uncomfortable, like, honest to goodness, do what makes you and your baby happy, because that's the number one. If you're unhappy and miserable and stressed, do you think your baby's gonna want to breastfeed and feel that comfort? Or do you think if your baby's miserable bottle feeding, but you would feel better breastfeeding? Like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's all food.
I remember when I was breastfeeding Keegan, in the beginning, I felt unstoppable. Like, I was so happy I could do it, and I was pushing through it, even with the toddler. But as he got older and he was more demanding over it, and everyone was like, you need to pump in between. Well, I can't feed a baby for a half hour, pump for an hour and a half, which that took me forever just to get 4 ounces of breast milk while I had Maya running around. Like, it wasn't realistic, and he was getting what he needed, and I needed to pay attention to Maya and be with her, and I couldn't just constantly feed, pump, feed, pump, feed, pump. And it just got to a point where I wasn't happy feeding him because it was stressful, and going out was stressful because I'm not the type to show anything when I'm out to begin with, and having to, even in the car, having to whip my boob out to feed my child. Like, I totally get that it's a natural thing, but people don't look at it that way. Like, it was just uncomfortable.
I feel like it's more like you shouldn't. I'm not comfortable being like, oh, my boob's out. Like, okay, here's a funny story that kind of ties into this. I was at my niece's Christmas concert, and there was a lady breastfeeding her baby, and I was like, oh, good for you. But her baby was older, and he was like tossing her nipple over her shoulder kind of deal. And like the whole crowd saw it, and she did not care. And I was like, lady, you are freaking strong, and you are, powerful woman. But like, I don't feel like oh, people are gonna hate me for saying this. I would not want my daughter to be sitting in a thing and to see somebody else's nipple come over the lady's shoulder, like, or something. And I can, you know, if she was to say to me when she's older, like, "Mommy, why is her, you know, her parts out?" I get that it would be as easy as because she's feeding her baby, and that's a natural thing, but that's uncomfortable for me. Like, and I think a lot of people feel that way. Like, I would not go up to some woman who's breastfeeding and shame her, ever in a million years. But I'm certainly not comfortable enough to, like, have a conversation with somebody while their baby's like I can't. I'm like, whoa, like, I can't. Like, I am so freaking awkward. I'd be like, buddy, like, I don't know. I feel bad.
Like, all for breastfeeding if you can do it, and like that's what you want, but I think you can be discreet about it. You know, you don't have to put a blanket over your child's head. I would never do that, but you know, they don't need to be tossing your nipple over your shoulder. Like,
yeah, or like pulling, like when your kid is old enough, like if you're breastfeeding to like 2 or something, because a lot of people do that now. You know, don't let your talking toddler, you know, teach them some manners so they're not like boob, 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 milk. Like, when you're out in public, you're just like, buddy.
That's another thing though. If you were breastfeeding Sophia, how long would you extended breastfeed, or would you cut her off at the year, or 6 months?
6 months.
6 months.
I decided that before I even like tried breastfeeding. I was like, I'm only gonna do till 6 months because that's all I feel comfortable with. When she starts to crawl and stuff, it becomes more real. Like, that becomes a human, and I feel like I'm invading her. Like, that's my personal feeling, just because of things that have happened, and people, and just my insecurities. I don't know. I'm probably going to get slapped in the face for that by somebody, but that's just my opinion. That doesn't mean that I'm upset that you're doing it, or I disagree with what you're doing. That's just what makes me comfortable, and like we were saying, do what makes you happy and comfortable, and that's what would make me happy and comfortable. So
yeah, I think if I had have been able to breastfeed both kids longer, I think I probably would have stopped at a year.
Yeah.
But even then, I think that would have pushed it for my comfort. I mean, people are gonna hate me for this too. It's hard to explain. I feel like I know breasts were made to feed babies. Like, I totally get that. But I feel like the way society has made things, your breasts are your body, and guys sexualize the shit out of that stuff. And the way society has made things, it's almost awkward to want to feed you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm the type of person that I wouldn't go out and be like breastfeeding my baby with a group of guys, like Ryan's buddies or anything, and he would not let me. Ryan would not, like. But with my husband, it's like I feel totally like Ryan helped me try to breastfeed. He was very, very good. But so this kind of ties into that as well. NICU story for you. When I was in the NICU, they really wanted me to breastfeed, so we kept trying, and she was so stressed. Anyways, so there was another man, and he was Amish, and another man, and he was Amish, and he had like the NICU stall behind me, but it wasn't like a wall, it was like a half wall in the NICU. And so I'm trying to breastfeed, and I've got the lactation consultant and my husband there, and so I'm not paying attention, but Ryan is, and he told me, and I saw it afterwards, this man was peeking over into my spot, looking at me breastfeeding my baby, smiling. And when my husband, Ryan, looked at him like, can he fuck off? He just smiled and nodded at him like, oh, yep, you know. And then it gets worse, because he then walked around, like, his baby's sick. Pay attention to your baby, first of all. He walked around, give you like these curtains that have like little peeky holes in them. And he moved my curtain and peeked in at my nipple. And Ryan was like, do you want a fucking punch in the face? Like, I will punch you in your teeth, because that is wrong. Like, I'm sitting there trying to breastfeed, but like, when you're trying and your boob's all over the place, everybody, like, it was just so frustrating. And that's the whole thing. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if that guy thinks like, oh, she's sexy, or he thinks like, oh, she's breastfeeding her baby, how nice. It's still like, don't look.
Yeah.
At least that's the way I feel, and he pissed me right off.
Okay, so obviously this was just our opinion. We are fed is best, that's what we think, but I mean, it's what makes you comfortable, and it doesn't matter what you do, someone is gonna say something. Someone's gonna either try and make you feel crappy for your decision, or they're gonna build you up and make you feel like an amazing mother. Either way, you are an amazing mother. You know what your kids need and you know what's best for them. And
yeah, so just go with what you feel is best, and don't let the world convince you of their opinions, because that's what this all comes down to. It's just do what you think you need to do.
Yeah.
So I think we did well for our first ranty rant. We both told some stories and it was good. We would like to do another one of these. I think that'd be fun.
But we need more involvement from you guys.
Yeah.
Like, we want a lot of our channel to be based around what you guys want.
Yeah.
So when we post about needing topics or suggestions, I mean, if you're one person, list 10 of them. If you have 10 different things you want us to talk about, list them all. I'm sure we'll get around
And
to
don't be
them.
shy. Don't be shy. Like I mean, we're not gonna bite your heads off. We want everybody to just feel like we're a place that they can kind of go and be like, oh, these girls get me, you know, because we're pretty flexible and pretty.
We're pretty open-minded.
Yeah,
so.
that's the word I was looking for. We're flexible. Anyways, so this is the end of this opinion video. We'll probably do another one in a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in our next video.